Hello, welcome back to the Shedcast. If you watched the previous episode, it's not very long since I last saw you because I recorded that about 2-3 hours ago. So thank you for watching and thank you for coming back. So, what are we on? Episode 16. It is mid-October. We're getting a bit chilly out there. Feeling quite autumnal now. I haven't quite got the pumpkin garland out for the fireplace yet, but I'm almost there. So how are you? How are things? Let me know how you're getting on. Right, first heads up. I'm gonna talk about my Shawlography mystery knit along project in this episode. But what I'll do is I will talk about it right at the end and I will give you a warning so that if you don't want to see spoilers, you've got time to turn off, but without missing any of the rest of the video. So just a warning that at some point I shall talk about everything else, and then at some point I'll let you know that I'm going to show you my Shawlography, clue 1, and then if you want to turn off, you'll be able to. So this week, right, before I get stuck in, let's just go through latest FOs. This is my latest one. I have a feeling that I showed you this last week, but I've forgotten. Did I maybe show you when it was waiting for a bobble, possibly, and blocking, maybe? Anyway, it's completely finished and blocked now. So this is Pepper by Anna Elliott. And it's made in Boland Double Knit, which is 100% Blueface Leicester. And how gorgeous are those cables? Absolutely love them. And obviously it needed a bobble on top. So let me pop that on and then you can see how it looks. So I quite like to wear my hats back a little bit so that my hair pokes out. It's designed as a beanie. That's got a little bit of a slouch, if you can see that. But it does also work pulled down properly as a nice wintry hat. So I'm really chuffed with this. I know it's only a hat, but I think maybe having made all big things recently, I just really enjoyed making something small, making something in Boland Double Knit, which I haven't used for ages, through no fault of its own, and revisiting one of our older patterns as well. So it was just a really nice process all the way through, to be honest. I've already worn this as well because it has got cold, and I shall enjoy wearing this. I actually thought it would clash with my hair because my hair, you probably can't tell anymore at this point, but my hair's like a dark pink. And I thought it would clash, but actually it looks fine. And also, kind of, who cares? So yeah, I should be wearing this a lot. I'm dead chuffed with it, really, really pleased with it. It's lovely and soft. So that's my latest FO. And now let's have a look at what's happening at ECY Towers this week. So last week it was all about the Boland Double Knit update, wasn't it? Well, this week it is all about this brand new yarn which I have here, and hopefully you will have seen this on social media by now. This gorgeous stuff is Keld Aran. I know I mentioned it a little bit last week because I couldn't resist, but this week is dedicated to it. I have taken, I don't know, maybe 1,500 photos of this yarn for the update, between sort of your individual product pictures, and then I've got all the colour combinations and group shots on the garden tables as well. So by the time I was done, I think I have got around about 1,500 photos. So that is a lot of stock, it's a lot of photos, it's a huge amount of work, and it's a lot of social media pictures to go up because I do need to share my creations with the world. So the yarn, here you go. I hope you can see that really well. that is Superwash Merino with linen, and it's 10% linen. Just the same as the curled fingering yarn. Okay, but this is Aran, and it's made with 2 plies rather than being a singles yarn. Being a singles yarn this thick, it would have pilled like crazy. I think I mentioned that in the last episode as well. Well, the last week's episode. So apologies if I'm repeating myself. I've lost track of what I've said where and when. So it's just gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I can't remember if I said it last week as well, but normally when I hear about a new yarn, the process would normally be get a small amount, dye it up to see how it dyes up, and then spend quite a long time like knitting and crocheting with it and writing about it, test it in the washing machine, all that kind of thing. Now that's normal, right? But when I heard about this a few months ago now, actually, it's been in the pipeline for quite a while. When I heard about it, I was just like, do you know what? We just have to have a big update of it straight away without even seeing it or feeling it or anything. So I just immediately jumped in and ordered absolutely loads, and it's a really impulsive and risky thing to do, to be honest, and it's not like me at all. But I have to say, I think it's going to pay off because this yarn is so beautiful, and so I really hope that you will like it too, because I hope that this risk will pay off, because it's a hell of a lot of yarn to sit in storage if it doesn't. But I can't see why it wouldn't, because it's just beautiful. So let me just tell you the stats that I've got here. So we've got 90% superwash extra fine merino and 10% linen. Now the extra fine merino refers to literally the fineness of the wool, which means it's super soft, and it's really the best quality merino that we can get. And it's lovely and hard wearing as well. It's not, it's not going to fall apart or anything like that. We've got 100 grams. These are 100 gram skeins, which is standard for us. 180 metres and 196 yards. So that's pretty average for Aran weight yarns. And then from my testing, what I've got on here is that I recommend a 4.5 to a 5.5 millimetre hook, and the same for needles. Okay. I'm sure it would work on bigger needles as well, maybe smaller ones too. I'm not sure about a smaller crochet hook. I think you might struggle with that. So yeah, fairly standard for an Aran thickness yarn. I've got here 10 wraps per inch for the actual yarn gauge. So it's fairly fine as Aran weight yarns go. That's it's probably going to look slightly thinner than things like Pendle Aran, which is the pure merino, and that kind of floofs out a bit more. Now I found with this, it's really noticeable the difference between drying it flat and drying it hung up, and you do often find that with yarns, but I think probably maybe it's the way that it's spun and the linen content. I don't know, but I found it really noticeable. The batches that I dried flat on the heated area, they fluffed out really beautifully. And then the batches that were dried hung vertically, the yarn looks slightly thinner. It's not at all, it's just the way that it's dried. It's because it's not fluffed out as much. So here is the same colour I'm wearing, different dial obviously. So this is Black Magic Rose, and hopefully you can kind of see that that's really fluffed out. And then if I go for, let me see, what have we got? Red Goosefoot. I'll pull that end out a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can't tell on camera. In fact, maybe no one else can even tell at all, and maybe it's just me. But I can see that the stuff that's been dried hung vertically looks slightly thinner. So don't be alarmed if you notice that. It's still the same yarn, and what I found was that when it's knitted and crocheted up, and of course we're drying everything flat, it fluffs out just as nicely as the skeins that were dried on the Aira did. Okay, so that's that. Let me tell you about the swatching that I did. So I got this absolute ton of yarn, right, and was just kind of like, okay, because when you get it undyed, it doesn't look like this at all, right? It's kind of like it's packed and it's neat, but it's all squashed and folded up. So it can look like really stringy, and this goes for all of the yarns. They can look really stringy before they've had their first bath. So I got it and thought, yeah, that looks lovely. Let's see how it dyes up. Imagining that it would look nice, but hoping. And fortunately it did. So I dyed up a batch in a colourway it's not part of the update. I just dyed this batch here, and then knitted and crocheted these up. So I should be adding more swatches to my collection, obviously, as I go along. That's 5mm, and didn't put my code into this one. And actually I know from the board post that was 5mm hook as well. That's my code. I do 5 yarn overs for 5mm needle. Pardon me, sorry, I've just eaten my lunch. And then if it's like a 5.5, I'll do a purl stitch next to the yarn overs, so I know it's a 5.5. So that's how I know, because it's just the most reliable way, except when you forget to do it, and then it's just not. But that was a 5mm too. So I'll tell you what else as well. These swatches have been through the washing machine. Can't tell, can you? Just can't tell. I'm really, really impressed with this yarn. I mean, a lot of our yarns have superwash merino in them, which mostly just means it's shrink resist. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't kind of like lose stitch definition and stuff like that. And I always recommend hand washing if you possibly can. I don't find that knitwear needs washing pretty much at all, unless it's socks. And I did definitely talk about this last week, so I won't go on and on about it again. But what was the point? Just basically, if you do need to machine wash it, you can do, and it will survive. So this was done at a 30-degree wash on, I think the spin cycle was at 1,000. I always forget to check and adjust the spin cycle, and that was just like a 30-degree daily wash, so not the wool cycle. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this yarn. I'll tell you what else as well. I was thinking that with it being a bit fine, I wasn't sure if it would look a bit gappy on a 5mm needle or hook. And as you've seen, it doesn't. So I'm really pleased with that, because that says to me, it's easily substituted for another Aran weight yarn. But I also did this swatch on 4.5mm needles. Yeah, 4.5. See, the system works. When it works, it works. 4.5mm needles. That was what I did for this jumper. And as I've just shown you, it's knitted up beautifully as well. So it clearly works at a smaller gauge as well, which is great, because I think it's going to substitute really nicely for worsted weight yarns. And obviously a lot of patterns, particularly American patterns, they call for worsted weight yarns because that's one of their traditional yarn thicknesses. So to have a yarn that can stand in for Aran weight patterns and worsted weight patterns is great. It makes it quite versatile, really useful. Just watch your yardage. Obviously, if your pattern's written for worsted, the skeins of those yarns will have more yardage in them compared to these. So just double check your yardage if that's what you're substituting. So those are the swatches. That's all about the yarn. And as you can see, I have knitted up this beauty. I hope you can see that. So I knitted this up. I started knitting it early August, I think it was, and when I was partway through the dyeing. It was because it was before my surgery, because what I did, it's bottom up. I'll just show you. Oh, there you go. There's no shaping in it. That is just sort of like moulded to my body a little bit, as wool does. So yeah, what I did was I cast on at the bottom before my surgery, and I got the lace pattern repeats all lined up with the stitch markers, and made sure that I'd done a few rounds before my surgery, because then it meant when I got home, all I had to do was pick it up and knit, and it was already set up, so like the counting and everything was already done, and all I had to do was just follow the chart. So that worked really well, and actually I really enjoyed just the process of knitting it, which sounds stupid, but for me, most of the time I have time constraints, and I'm generally in a rush to make things for various reasons, like showing them on here and on social media to tie in with updates, pattern releases, all that kind of thing. I'm usually knitting and crocheting under pressure, and I knew I had quite a long time to do this one, and I kind of thought, well, sod it anyway, I'm just going to do it. I'm really glad that I did, because knitting an all over lace pattern was just enough concentration to take my mind off the pain of my foot, because it was very painful for a lot of weeks afterwards. It still is, and it's nearly 8 weeks. So actually concentrating on the lace chart, it really kept my mind focused, but it wasn't so complicated that I lost the plot. So that was lovely. That was a really nice process. And yeah, I love this jumper so much. So the one modification that I will tell you about, which I make to all of my garments at this point, pretty much all of them, is that you can't see it, but I've done a line of crocheted slip stitch around the neck edge, and that has just tightened up this neck edge, because when I finished this jumper, it was originally around about here. It was almost off my shoulders on both sides. There is a reason for that, and it's not the fault of the pattern, but because I've got a small round shoulders, but large bust size and large hips. So when I choose my jumper size, I'm choosing it, actually for this one, I wanted it a bit oversized as well. But when I'm choosing my jumper sizing, I have to go for a size that's going to fit the rest of me. But what that means is that generally the necklines are also far too big. And that's just because they're sized up for the bigger bust size. So it's completely normal for me, and I have mentioned it before, to do the line of crochet slip stitch all the way around. And what that does is it tightens up the fabric, but also it has no stretch in it. So this cannot stretch. And actually, if I wanted it a bit tighter, I could go around again. You just have to be careful of puckering if you do it. And on some things, you're better going around this seam line on the inside, and on some things you want to be going around this one. You just kind of have to play around with it. It's trial and error with it, really. But it's your project and it's designed to fit your body, so make what adaptations you need to. I really like the can I hardly see it, the 3 needle bind off. I love a 3 needle bind off on shoulders because again, with the short round shoulders, it means that this just won't go anywhere. So I love a 3-needle bind off. I love drop shoulders, as I probably mentioned. I've made the sleeves slightly longer than the pattern I think recommended, but again, you know, this is the joy of making your own clothes, isn't it? You can make them however you want. So I like nice long sleeves. I don't like a draft to get in through my sleeves either. Then for work, because I've been wearing this for work, I wear thick, heavy gloves, and I'm constantly putting my hands in and out of them. They're like oversized so that I can go like this in and out all the time. And so then I've got enough cuff there to fold it back up like that, just out of the way for work. But then if I'm back in here and I'm typing on my laptop, I can pull them back down and have warmer wrists and hands. So I mean, and I love tight sleeves, as I've probably mentioned before, so they're fairly tight. I've got a long sleeve top on underneath, so I can get sleeves on underneath, but they're quite a tight fit, so you might want to look at that. I think I picked up a fewer stitches than the pattern recommended. I usually do, to be honest, and I keep them quite fitted with the shaping. So that's my jumper. What else did I want to say about it? I've been raving about it on social media this morning as well, but I'm dead chuffed with this jumper because it doesn't have the bulk that a lot of Aran garments can have, probably partly from the lace pattern, but also with the yarn, it's quite light and what's the word, like woolly, but yeah, maybe that's just it. But it's quite it feels light to wear, and it's very, very comfy. Like I mentioned before, there's no shaping in it, but it's kind of just molded to my body. I've been wearing this for work. I've been wearing it for trying to dog walk. So it's been on underneath jackets and all sorts. And it's been successfully stored, screwed up on the wardrobe as well, and it's not done it any harm whatsoever. It's in fact, just a little bit earlier, it had a squirt of tuna fish juice on it, which I have spot cleaned off, and there is no sign of it whatsoever, so that's a big win. So yeah, it spot cleans really well, as wool generally does. And oh, there's a bit more of my lunch. And yeah, it's just a delight. It's just a delight. Debbie and Claire have both seen this jumper as well. They've kind of like just walked into work, and I've been wearing it, and they've both gone, "Ooh, is that your jumper? Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, it's so soft, and oh, I love it so much. The stitch definition's great, and oh, yeah." So it's not just me, promise it's not just me. The other people that have seen it and felt it have loved it too. I really can't rave enough about this yarn, about this jumper. I can't wait to make more stuff in it. I think this would make a really good shawl yarn as well, because it definitely has drape. This did grow in length a little bit, but actually when I blocked it, I knew that I wanted to block it that way, which obviously pulled the bottom in a bit and stopped it from dropping. So it depends how you block it, but as with a lot of these things, just watch out for a bit of drape if you're making a jumper. What you could do is make a swatch and then dry it with weight hung on it, or when you block your swatch, pin it out as hard as you can, which should give you a really good idea of how much the yarn could grow, and then how much it'll spring back again once it's unpinned, because it does spring back as well. So yeah, a little bit of drop, but actually with the because of the nature of the pattern, this mostly expanded outwards, which was what I wanted. So that was good. So yes, I think it will make really nice shawls. I haven't had a chance to try it yet. But it's going to be great for everything. Garments, hats. I've got a ball of this colour wound up, waiting to be made into, I think, probably a hat. I want to crochet a hat in it. So yeah, it's just, oh, honestly, it's to die for. I love this yarn. I love this yarn. I love this yarn. I can't wait to unleash it on the world. I hope that you will love it too. I really do, because I'd love to be able to justify dyeing more as well, and in different colours again. So talking of colours, there are 32 colours. Well, 32 plus a cottage original. The cottage original, however, is almost indistinguishable from Black Magic Rose, so I haven't included it as a separate colour. I don't really know what went wrong, to be honest. I was going to dye Damson and just accidentally overdid it and ended up with something looking almost the same as this. So yeah, there's 32 colours plus a cottage original. All sweater quantities, as always, of all of them. Now, it's kind of impossible to show them all. I have posted pictures online showing the whole lot out on the garden tables. We've got 2 6-foot trestle tables in the garden next to each other, which is a fantastic space if it's dry and cloudy for photographing a large quantity of yarn. Brilliant. Almost as if I planned it. And so there are pictures on social media showing all of the colours lined up in rainbow order, of course. There are loads and loads and loads of pictures on Flickr. We can put the link in the show notes for this, but also if you go on Flickr and just search Eden Cottage Yarns, I think that should bring us up, you would hope. And if you look at our latest album, it's the Keldaran Update album, and there are all the individual colours in there, plus all the colour combinations that I photographed, and there are a lot. Where do you even start when you've got 32 colours? Just I think the best thing to do is pull out something that pops and go, right, what am I going to put with that? So I'm looking at this. In fact, let me just lift the camera up and show you what I've got on my table, if I can. It's attached to the power cable, but hopefully you can see. Oh, there we go. Hopefully you could see that. Let me just put the camera back down again. There we go. That's it, that's about right, isn't it? So, is it? There we go. Right, so that's just one skein of each colour, and that's quite a big heap of yarn. Let's just pull out something that pops. These are Tide and Lagoon. Obviously the dark colours show the linen really well, but it looks gorgeous in everything, so it's not like I'm going to do entirely dark colours. That's not my bag, is it? So that's Tide and Lagoon. Shall we take a look at what they might go with? I've done lots of neutrals, so I've got the browns, I've got clay, I've got compost, my favourite, and bark. So those are the browns. I really like sort of teal with brown. I think that's lovely. Excuse me. And we've got things like Echinops, which is the silvery warm blue. And I've got Ash, which has come out a bit greeny bluey this time. That's the nature of hand-dyed yarn. And Charcoal, that's the other neutral. Oh no, there's more. Charcoal, which is lovely. And our perennial favourite, Linen. So that is all the neutrals. with Tide and Lagoon. Shall I show you them all together? So those are the browns. Let's get the greys. Where's that other one? There it is. And then cream. There we go. There you go. That's all your neutrals. Oh no, I've missed one. Driftwood. That's driftwood. Lovely beige. With a hint of pink or a hint of brown. It could go either way. So those are all the neutrals. I always think it's really important to do lots of neutrals because they frame other colours so beautifully, as well as being beautiful on their own. And like, you could make like a colour block jumper, for example, and you could use the 3 browns, and then you could just put in a nice little pop of, take your pick. Right, hang on. Let me organise my hands. So say you might have like wide stripes like this, maybe, of the browns, and then you might just pop a rust in. Oh my God. Or you might pop a rust and a linen in. Oh. Or you might go for a red. That's dianthus. I've already shown you the teal, but you might also go for red kite. We've got oranges, we've got cloudberry, which is the lighter, brighter orange, because then I've also got bog myrtle, which is that bit more earthy. Let me show you those together. There you go, there's cloudberry, and that one's bog myrtle. So yeah, those are those. I've got 3 reds. We've got dianthus, red goosefoot, and red kite. We have stone chat and briar rose, which are very similar, it has to be said. Stone chat is the more orangey browny one, and briar rose is more pinky. Stone chat is related to red kite, so that's those 2. We have pinks. I have quite a few pinks. So I've got Black Magic Rose. In fact, no, let's keep hold of that because I've also got Wild Raspberry and Antique Rose, which are just gorgeous. We have quite a few greens. So I've got kind of what you might call proper greens. There was actually another one, but it's disappeared. So we have Hosta, which is this kind of slightly more zingy one. We have Larch. We have Ivy. Oh, where are we? There we go, that's Ivy. And we have Hedgerow. Hedgerow is just that bit more sludgy than Ivy, and Ivy is a bit lighter and slightly less greeny than Larch. So those are the proper greens. Oh, this pile of yarn's gradually spreading across the table. We've got turquoisey colours, Marsh and Waterfall. It's quite handy actually to be able to see them together because they are very similar. Marsh is the more greeny one, and Waterfall is the more proper turquoisey one. So that's them together. And you can see that this yarn has got a gorgeous shine on it as well. It has everything going for it, honestly. It's just gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So yeah, those are the turquoisey colours. And in a slight kind of like next along from those, we've got the Lagoon and Tide. So that's Lagoon, Tide and Waterfall. Waterfall and Tide are nice together. Yellows. So we've got Sand. And coming back to Linen, sort of counts as a yellow as well. What else have we got? So I've said I've got my oranges, haven't I? Let's just have them all together. We have Rust, we have Cloudberry, and we have Bog Myrtle. So those are the oranges. We have one solitary blue, which is Mill Pond. Oh, no, tell a lie. I've got Lagoon. Lagoon's blue as well. It's just a completely different blue. I've got two blues. And then actually quite a few purples. Well, I say quite a few. Quite a few by our standards is, yep, 3. That's quite a lot out of 32 colours. So we have Thunder in the middle. And then Dusk is the softer one. And Blue Geranium is the brighter one. Now I know it's called Blue Geranium and it's not actually blue, but my blue geranium in the garden is this colour. So that's why the purple is Blue Geranium. Ovs. What else have we got? Well, Equinox kind of probably should have been in with the blues. That's Equinox again with Mill Pond. They're lovely together, aren't they? And I think that's all of them. I've covered the neutrals and greens and browns, and yes, that's basically all of them. I don't even know where to start. Red Kite, Black Magic Rose together. Black Magic Rose and Rust, which is actually what I'm wearing, and my nails even match my very messy and needing redoing nails. I swear that was an accident. I just clearly like these colours. So Black Magic Rose is actually a really useful neutral, I found. This colour seems to go with pretty much everything. Let's take a look at it as well with Tide. Although actually if you've got Tide you might also want Rust. But then we've got things like pink and green. I love pink and green together, as you probably know. So that's Antique Rose and Hedgerow. And then we've got the other green, Ivy. Oh, let's see how that compares, actually. That's Antique Rose and Ivy. So Ivy's just that bit softer, really, isn't it? It's a bit shadowy, a bit greyish. And then let's take a look at Marsh as well. Because that might be a little bit tricky to put with other colours. Marsh, ooh, Marsh, and again, Black Magic Rose. Of course, you've always got Charcoal. See whether it works with Equinox. Oh, I like that. Obviously, goes without saying, for all of these, you could always put linen with them. That lovely, bright, warm cream. Sort of pearlescent, isn't it? I also really like these two. That's Compost and Linen. Or Compost and Driftwood. Or like, what about like a sort of summery, like Lagoon and Driftwood? Or what about Lagoon with Linen? Oh, that's lovely and bright and fresh, isn't it? What might you put with that? You could put Thunder with it. That's rather lovely. Let's see what I've got. Oh, I can't decide. There's too many to choose from. What about Dianthus? Maybe lose the Thunder and just have Dianthus with Harbour and Linen. Let's have a look at Red Goosefoot as well, because reds aren't always easy to put colours with. It's Red Goosefoot and Compost, which I adore together. I think they're gorgeous. Gorgeous, as Craig Revel Horwood would say. Does it work with Millpond? Ooh, why have I not thought of that one before? Red Goosefoot and Mill Pond. Yeah, I like that. What else have we got? So you could do Red Goosefoot Antique Rose, Red Goosefoot and Mill Pond. Or Thunder. That's with Thunder. Charcoal kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? Yeah, that's lovely. Or back to Compost. That's a really nice combination of the three. Let's take a look at Hosta. Because it would be a bit of a zingy green, it might be a bit more difficult to put other colours with. So obviously we've got linen. It just goes without saying. Yeah, I like it with ash. I like that bit of contrast. And then you've got the browns, so that's coming back to Compost. Or you might want to go for the lighter clay. That's a nice light, sort of soft palette, isn't it? Oh, what about, green and orange. There's not enough green and orange in the world. So that's linen, hosta and bog myrtle. And then let's try it with cloudberry. See, I'm not sure which one I prefer. That one or that one. I think I might prefer the cloudberry, you know. If you want to let me know if any of these catch your eye, or if there are any that you hate or that you love, please drop me a comment below and let me know. That'd be great. Blue geranium, lovely with Black Magic Rose, as you can see. Linen, always. Let's take a look at it with Hosta. That works. The thing with the purple and green is that you really need them to balance each other out, because otherwise one's just going to make the other one look washed out. Let's take, well, obviously it goes with Black Magic Rose. Have I already said that? I've already said that. Mill Pond? No, I think it makes the Mill Pond look a bit grey. I don't think that works. Or what about with Compost? Yeah, you see, I like that. I know it's probably not everybody's cup of tea, but I really like that. I'll tell you what as well, actually. Purple and orange, but I can't decide which one. So, blue geranium and bog myrtle, or blue geranium with cloudberry. I suppose it depends how bright you want your palette overall, because they both work equally well together, but that one softens the palette and adds a little bit of shadow to it, whereas that one's that bit more zingy, isn't it? So I suppose it depends what sort of overall look you're after. I'm just wondering if I do the blue geranium with the bog myrtle, and then I could put a green with it as well. I'm just wondering which green. So ivy, you've got the softness of ivy, or that slight brightness of hosta. I think I might prefer that actually. Or you could go for darker and go for larch. No, not keen. What about hedgerow? No, not quite right, is it? I think I prefer the hosta actually. Or do I? Ivy. Definitely the hosta or the ivy for me. That's not to say that, you know, anyone, I mean, you might hate this, you might think this is hideous. And you are more than welcome to, that's fine. It's just the way it is, isn't it? Let's take a quick look at what sand would work with. So I really, again, trotting the same old colours out here, aren't I? But I really like sand with Black Magic Rose. Let's add in Compost. Now I like those three together. I think you would need another lightish colour to balance them out though. Not bright, but just something in between. Something like that, perhaps. That one's ivy. Just to sort of be like a middle ground between the dark and the light colours. Yeah, I like those together. I would use those together. Let's read it out. So, ooh, what about... Hang on. My brain is working. So I've just picked up Thunder, which works really nicely. Although actually I wonder about Wild Raspberry as an in-between. That's nice, that's lovely. I like that. Just that little touch of pink. Yeah, I like that a lot. Oh, that's the thing on the wall. Alexa, off. The joys of modern living, hey? She's never done that before. I don't even know how to use it other than to turn it on and off and change radio stations. So I'm not even sure what I did there. Oh, I've just looked down and seen Tide and Driftwood. Oh yes, that's gorgeous, isn't it? So, I definitely haven't exhausted all options here. Not by a long way. But I hope that that has helped. I know it's really tricky choosing colours online. To be fair, it's just as tricky choosing them in person because the indecision is just then even greater, and you still have issues with lighting and, you know, depending where you are. So, oh, that's rather nice. Look at that. Did I already do this one? Blue Geranium with Driftwood. They're nice together, aren't they? See, just they just keep popping up. There's just more and more and more. Look, Red Goosefoot and Driftwood as well. So it's kind of, and then of course you've got Driftwood with all the greens. This is yeah, it's just, there's just so much to look at. There's so much to just hang on, distracted. Equinox with Black Magic Rose, yes, or Mill Pond with Black Magic Rose. Oh, gorgeous, just gorgeous. I mean, you could even do Lagoon with Black Magic Rose. You see, it goes with everything, honestly.